Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
First thing I want you to know is that the things that I want to share with you this evening, how can I say this? You're not going to find this anyplace else necessarily. I mean, it's not that it's not known and that other people aren't wise and smart and have things figured out, but you won't hear it quite like this tonight. So I asked Sweet Mindy if she would help orchestrate putting a piece of paper and a pencil on your seat, because I'm going to encourage you to just think about it. You don't have to show me that you've taken notes or anything like that, but I'm just put it there in case you'd like to, because I think some of it, is going to come at you so much that I wanted you to be able to capture whatever it is that speaks to you. Is that fair? So this is a talk, not a class. But I want you to know that what I'm really offering you tonight is truly how to live wild and free. And it may not be what you think. So first of all, the most important thing to know that as we're walking through our spiritual life and as we are growing spiritually, one of the things that you will notice in your life is that you become more peaceful. You will find that peace becomes more and more the goal, and less the struggle, and less the judgment, and less the pain. You know, all the other goals that you thought were high and lofty will kind of fall away. And really, if you can just feel at peace, if you can feel let go and relaxed and open, then you know that you have really reached what I think of as a heavenly state. Peace is the goal. When I was a hospice chaplain, I realized that my job was not to save souls or to have people have one final insight or piece of enlightenment before they took off across the veil or whatever. My goal was only to help them have peace, because it was only the peaceful hearts that could make their transition. And that was the only thing I was there to do. So I didn't need to try to find out what they believed about God, or if they asked me, of course I had conversation with them and I answered as best I could to support them, but my goal was always to help them feel at peace. And those who already were, I just joined them in peace. So peace is the hallmark of a spiritual path that has reached a certain elevation, I would say to you. And it's always my goal to return to that peace when I'm not there. So the other thing is growing more spiritually also increases our authenticity. What do I mean by that? Our authenticity is actually reflecting back to our naturally expressing our highest self. Authenticity is just being real. It's being true. It's being truthful. And it's also exploring inside of us at greater depth who we really are and what it is that we have, the innocence that we have really brought to express in the world. There is a deep God-given innocence about us. Even when we have made mistakes, even when we've done things wrong, even when we've lived less than stellar lives or made less than great decisions in our lives, there is at the base of that a really deep innocence that really has been placed there for us to reveal to the world. And so authenticity is really tapping into that innocence, and where we pull at that innocence and when we start to express it, we actually start the process of living more wild. What do I mean by that? I mean unfettered. I mean free, but wild. Our true nature is a wild child deep inside of us that is connected to the rhythms and connected to the winds and trusting the wind, as the song was telling us to do. It's really a way for us to recognize that we are of the elements, and the elements have a home in us. And there is something that is childlike, curious, and throwing off all the restraints, that just wants to run wild. And there's some part of us that needs to find ways to allow that to express, to allow ourselves to be really free in that moment. Wild and untamed, wild and undisciplined even. Now I know some of us probably for whom discipline and structure and all that has become an important part of our development. It's important for all of us. But for some people that I know have had to really purposefully put that in place in their lives, I want you to realize that the discipline and the structure simply becomes the foundation for letting yourself be also free at the same time. That those structures don't keep you from being free. It gives you a foundation for your freedom to expand. You don't sacrifice freedom by having a plan or being in a process that really helps you to be productive. Okay? So just kind of recognize that there's two ways to hold these things as you move. Freedom is our inheritance, and it is also our deepest truth. It is connected to truth. Jesus said this. When you know the truth will set you free. That the truth is always the thing to be seeking in every situation, in every condition, in every moment of your life. What is deeply true? And the only way you know what that is to feel right here, in the center of your being. The truth resonates with us at this level. You can't discern it through your mind. You can't rationalize it. You can't analyze it. Well, you can try, and we do. And we rationalize, and we come up with 5 reasons why this is the truth and why I'm right. Yes, we do that. But that's not this truth. It's not capital T truth. Truth is known. It's a whole thing. As soon as you know the truth, it is a wholeness, and it has many ways to describe it, and many applications in different parts of your life. And it's something that you will always know from the depths of your heart. But how do you know the difference between ego and spirit? How can you tell? Well, ego is grandiose, or it keeps us small. So either we're the ones with all the answers and everybody else is stupid, or we're the ones who can't ever get it right, we can't ever do it, we're doomed, somebody's always going to be better or first or whatever. Ego doesn't care which one we choose. It doesn't care which one we are. It doesn't care if we're grandiose or small, just so as we're not okay. Because as soon as we're okay, ego has no purpose, really. So being okay is where we also find that place of peace I was talking about from the beginning. So recognizing how you're feeling in the moment will help you to know whether you're coming from your ego or whether you're finding some place where you're okay in spirit. However that is, that helps you to feel okay. And when you're here, everybody else is here too. In other words, there's no better or worses around you. There's people you prefer and people you don't prefer, okay? But at their essence, they're okay. You're not trying to change them, and you're not needing to change to be with them. You're okay, and they're okay. So recognizing when we are out of balance is also a way for us to correct that. And when spirit is calling us into becoming something more, is crooking its finger and saying, hey, don't you want to come and try something different? It's like stepping to the edge of the Grand Canyon and just go, oh my God, is that possible? Could I really do that? Could I become that? It's a big thing. You get scared. And that's good, because scared means you haven't done this before. Scared means this is real, and you're taking this seriously, and this could really happen. You don't know what to expect, because you haven't been here before. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, If your dream isn't big enough to scare you, then it's probably not big enough. That is so smart, because the truth is, if you're scared by the bigness, the enormity of a dream or an idea, if it scares you, makes your hands sweat, then probably it is something that is really right for you. And it's something that is big enough for you to invite something bigger than yourself in as partner. And when you do that, hold on, because things are going to start going fast. Because there's some rightness that starts to happen all at the same time. That you become willing and you invite something bigger than you into this partnership to try your hand at this, just to see what could happen. To be in the question, to be in the possibility. Now, Jesus had temptations before he set forth in his ministry. And this was a way for you to also check your ego versus your spirituality, or what your spiritual nature. Because ego was tempting with grandiosity. Some of you know this. This is in Matthew chapter 4. So Jesus was in the wilderness, and he was tempted by the devil, it says. He fasted, which is really another word for ego for us. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him at the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it's written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." And Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." And again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the earth and their splendor, and he said to them, "All these things I will give you if you will fall down and worship me." And Jesus said, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil left, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. Now, how that applies to us is this. What you may notice in this transaction between the devil that's trying to put these high, lofty ideas, because we can sometimes have high, lofty ideas, grandiose ego ideas, and we have that breathtaking feeling. Oh my God, maybe that is the thing. How do I know the difference between that and spirit? What Jesus did was a great example, because how we test this notion that's calling to us and to try to distinguish between ego and spirit is to test that idea against our principles, against our belief system, against what we know is true and real, and to reconnect in with what it is that we want this world to be about. In other words, what it is that matters the most deeply to us. There was a time when I had this great idea that I had come to a certain level of ministry, a certain place where I felt really competent as a counselor. And so I thought maybe what I should do, the next step, is I should counsel Hollywood movie stars. I thought, I'll go to LA. And I mean, you know, those people, they need some guidance there, right? And I just thought that would be, yeah, I could do that, and I should do that. I should go there. And so I was talking it over with my therapist, and she just looked at me and she goes, "I'm not getting it, Karen." I'm like, "What? Do you not believe in me?" And she was just like, "I'm just not really getting it." And then she asked me, she goes, "Why would you want to do that?" And I go, "Well, because it seems like the next step up. I don't know." It was like it was an ego thought. It was really just an ego thought that was just trying to be grandiose. Does that sound grandiose to you? Sounds grandiose to me even saying it up here. So I know that I was really feeling, but I couldn't distinguish the thrill of that idea and that excitement between that and a real spiritual call. And she really helped me recognize that it was really coming from here, and it really wasn't coming from here. Because honestly, when I check in here, all I really care about is that I can make a difference in somebody's life. And it doesn't matter who that somebody is. It's just that whoever it is that's drawn to me is the one that I can help. And that's the transaction. That's spirit. That's when we realize we're back in the peaceful place again, where everybody's okay and I'm okay too. The antidote to grandiosity is to stay focused on truth, on principle, on service to the highest good only. And let that be your God. There was a time when the disciples complained about a woman washing Jesus' feet with perfume. And here's where the disciples, and in the Gospels, and this is the Gospel of Mark in chapter 14, and in the Gospels, whenever the disciples are clamoring or whatever, equate that with those voices in your own head, the judging voices that sound spiritual and sound right, but somehow have this whiny tone to it. It's kind of like this. So some of those who were there said to one another in anger, "Why was the ointment wasted in this way?" She came and she washed his feet and cried and used her hair to dry his feet because of her many sins. She was really just in a place of asking for forgiveness and trying to really, and also giving her gift as best she could. But the disciples only saw that ointment was being wasted away. He said, "For this ointment could have been sold for more than 300 denarii, and the money given to the poor." That sounds right, doesn't it? That sounds reasonable, logical. But what does it feel like? It feels closed-hearted. It feels money-grabbing. It feels not good here, where the action of watching someone whose heart is broken, who's claiming some bit of forgiveness and asking for some forgiveness in a beautiful act of love would open the heart. Jesus said, "For you always have the poor with you, and you can show kindness to them whenever you wish. But you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She's anointed my body beforehand for its burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her," just like we're doing right now. Jesus is inviting his disciples to see beyond their intellect to the heart of things. This is the core of living a wild and free life, is to keep going back to your heart. Keep referring back to what is true. Keep referring back to what is my purpose? Why am I here? What is it that I can bring? What is it that I value above everything else? I know for me, I touch on this on a daily basis, that whenever I get caught astray, feeling guilty, overburdened, responsible, whatever my issue is, whatever my la-la is up here, what I try to come back to in my heart is what is my purpose? It is to serve. And as if whatever I've got my hands on right now, whatever I'm doing serves, then I'm right on track. And if whatever I'm doing is busy work, or I'm trying to make up for lost time, or I'm trying to meet somebody else's expectations, or if I'm trying to feel better about myself because of things I've said I would do this morning that I didn't get to, so now I got to double hard now to make up for that. Am I the only one who does stuff like that? No? Then what I realize is that I should stop right now, and I should get back to how can I serve the world in this moment, because that's my purpose. And I shouldn't be wasting my time or my breath on things anything less than that. Courage and creativity to try new things is also what liberates us. Abraham had a vision to move his family. It comes in Genesis 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him as well. Abram was 75 years old, let me just say, when he departed from Haran. This is a patriarch from which all the other patriarchs come. Abraham started this whole thing we call Christianity and Judaism and Islam. All of these things started with Abraham. So he took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot and all the possessions that they had gathered, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. Abram was 75 years old. This is before Ishmael was born, before Isaac. There was no rational reason to do any of this. I will make a great nation of you if you pick up everything you have ever known and leave the only place you have ever lived and travel now. And there's a wild child living in Abram. There is something that says, you know what, I ain't done yet. In fact, where our story starts, he's just now getting started good at 75 years old. C.S. Lewis says, "You're never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." Never. God is not a trickster God either. This is important. If you haven't written anything yet, write that down. God is not a trickster God. I don't know how many people will tell me, I think this may be what God wants me to do, but he's keeping it from me so that I have to work harder to find out. I'm like, what? That's not the God I know. Why would God make it harder for you to do the thing God wants you to do? What kind of twisted God is that? Right? That sounds like, what does that sound like? Yes, that's what it sounds like to me. Isn't that what our egos do? It's like grandiose or small. Small or grandiose. I'm supposed to go do something, but I'm being kept from knowing what it is, and so I'm supposed to struggle harder and blah, 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 whatever the story is. God is not a trickster God. It's really simple. It's just step forward and do the right thing. Do the next thing. Do the thing that calls to your heart. Your heart is full of what you're here to be. Your heart is the doorway to every blessing and every grace and every piece of goodness that you are. It needs to be revealed in the world. It will be revealed through your open heart. Nothing else. The words will come through your mouth, from your heart. Everything that you need will come through your heart to be shared with the world, whether anybody else knows it or not. We don't receive the excitement of a dream without the capacity within ourselves to achieve it. That's what I mean when I say that God is not a trickster God. You're not set up to fail. You are actually encoded and loaded for success. Really, it's only this that will trip you up. So you can't listen to this. This needs to serve this. This needs to be in service to this. And then watch out, because the skids are removed and you are flying. I had a dream to become a minister. And you know what? I was thinking as I was preparing this talk that it was, of course, in this sanctuary. This was my home church. And I had this flash to remembering the first time that the services were all in here. There were 800 people in here. There were extra people in Wallet Hall, maybe another 200 or so in Wallet Hall, watching remotely. At times we even had people in the chapel area watching another, what's it called, closed circuit TV there. They could be part of the service. And I remember that as on my journey to becoming a minister, I had let Howard know that's what I wanted to be. Howard Caesar was our minister at the time, and he had invited me to come up and do something. I don't know if I was either applying for the board or I was platforming or I was doing something. And I remember when I walked up the steps to come up for the first time, all of a sudden, I've realized that not only was I afraid my knees were going to give out because I was so nervous, but I also thought, I'm doing this thing that I have wanted to do, and it's happening right now. I had the sense of it happening right then. I wasn't a minister, I wasn't in school yet, but there was something about all of a sudden realizing that I was now starting to embody the dream I had only dreamed of. And having come out of the Catholic Church, since I was a child, wanting to be a priest and having that denied me, I had harbored this dream all my life, and it was about to become real, and it was becoming true in that moment as I was taking those steps. It was a holy moment, and it was just encapsulated for me, and how it is that our dreams will catch up with us, and they'll lift us up, and they'll carry us in places we couldn't have dreamed, we couldn't have imagined. Because that's how beautiful this life is. Dreams are meant to benefit the highest good for all concerned, the highest good for the world. Every person's dream matters, and we should become dream makers, dream enablers. We should be sharing dreams. We should be talking up our dreams. We should be doing dream support groups, you know? We should be really launching those things so that we can really support one another. Moses was given the vision to free his people from slavery in Egypt to the Promised Land. But let me just say, that was not his idea. He was given that idea. And he argues with the voice in the burning bush. And he relies on the plan and the tools that were given in the burning bush. And frequently, during his time in the book of Exodus, frequently goes to mountaintops for consultations and further instructions. We don't do this by ourselves. We have to keep checking in. We have to keep growing along the way. We harbor the blueprint, but we don't always have all the construction figured out. We don't have all the materials. We don't have all of the builders and the planners and all the people that we're going to be needing to partner with. They have to be brought to us. We have to be in collusion with something greater than ourselves. Because this is a big job to live human life. It's a big job. We need support, and we have. We live in service to the dreamer of dreams that lives within us. Captured by a vision, we may not see how to achieve the whole dream, but see clearly what steps are before us, turning loose of the details of the vision and do whatever is before us. Wendy Wright says, daring to dream what is deepest in our collective longings is what makes us most human and fully alive. Erica Benson says, I called my mom and I found her in the greenhouse. She was sitting in the sunlight among the numerous pots of soil the day after planting. What are you doing in there? I asked. The thought of sitting around a bunch of barren flower pots sounded a little depressing to me. Oh no, she said, it's beautiful in here. She says, I'm imagining what they will be. You could say, I'm dreaming in flowers. Her words just touched me. I'd been a cattle rancher, but a back injury put an end to my career. I shriveled up, mired in devastation, not sure who I was anymore, not sure what I should be doing. But Spirit saw me as more than my profession, and over time, miraculously, led me to a richer, fuller life. Still in the country, surrounded by the animals I loved, I watched doors thrown open for me that I thought were closed when I was working on the ranch, like getting married to my best friend and devoting more time to my writing. My life after ranching is filled with joy and not sorrow. As I put my trust in something greater than myself, note, and began to follow my heart, hey, I didn't write this, I began to see my grievous back injury as a blessing. Because of it, the master gardener has helped me grow beyond anything I could ever have dreamed of, and I know I am not finished yet. Dreaming in flowers. Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Dream in flowers. Explore. Dream. Discover. Live. I invite you to live wild and free. It's quite a ride. God bless you all.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.